Alec, how are you doing?
I'm doing very well. How are you? I'm back from vacation. Feels good. Got some sun. Played a lot of golf. It was good. Good times. I'm terrible, but I got better because it's been like 2 years since I played golf, and I played like 4 or 5 rounds. So it was a lot of golf. It was good.
Yeah,
Very fun.
glad to hear that.
Yeah.
Golf easily my favorite sport.
Yep. Yeah. The old white man's game. Yeah.
Yeah.
That Tiger Woods came in and destroyed.
Well, who's this we have here today? Another gentleman here? No,
Who-
maybe not. We'll
Oh,
see.
okay. He's already giving me crap. Yeah, Rusty's back again. How are you guys doing?
All right. Well, rather
Nice,
not
nice to
say.
have you on again. You'd rather not say.
Yeah, nice to have you. Yeah, I can't.
Appreciate you guys having me on. It's always a
Oh,
pleasure.
it is always a pleasure. I was gonna say the exact same thing. It's like two great minds think alike.
Yeah, I'd say
That's
good.
right.
I'd say it's good talking to you, gents. But I mean, I don't think the saying really applies here.
Oh gosh.
Okay.
All right.
Oh
Here we
no.
go. Yeah, we'll get
So-
into it. Don't even worry about it.
All right, so 2 months ago now, we were tasked with completing a video game for the Gentleman's Challenge. We each got two assigned to us. We had to just beat one, only one. That's all it took.
Okay.
Wow.
This is getting
Throwing
bad.
shade really quick.
And so I had Final Fantasy VII and Metroid Prime were my games. Alec had, of course, Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze and Persona 5. And Rusty had,
You want me to answer for
yeah,
you? Okay, I had Metal Gear Solid and Mario and Luigi Superstar Saga plus Bowser's Minions on the Nintendo 3DS.
Okay, so let's talk about in order of completion. Let's go through who finished their games and everything. Alec, tell me about since our first we were intending to do a halfway progress video, but we decided not to do that, and so we haven't made a video since the first one.
Right.
So tell me on your decision on what game you're going with and how that went.
I mean, there was really no choice. There was literally only one option to do first, because it was the shorter game and it was Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze. And that's not throwing any shade at Persona, but I was not certain I would be able to finish that game in 2 months. So I wanted to go with something that I knew I could probably beat in that period of time if I enjoyed it enough, and I did. I enjoyed it a lot, actually. It brought back a lot of great memories of old Donkey Kong Country games. The level design, I mean, amazing. But yeah, I got through it pretty quickly. I think within 2 or 3 weeks of starting. I want to say maybe not 2 weeks, but
Yeah, not
it was
bad.
before a month. It was before a month was up. I know I slammed through. I pretty much beat it in like 3 or 4 sittings. It's not a super long game, but like when I was playing it, I was glued. I had 3 4 hour sessions, and I was having a blast the whole time. So
Yeah.
yeah.
So I mean,
So
I was your partner for that, so I'm glad you ended up enjoying that at least. 'Cause-
yeah. I mean, they a lot of those Nintendo can be sometimes a little reluctant to kind of have change, shall we say, with some of their traditional 2D platformers. The new
Mhm.
Super Mario Brothers games are all great. New Super Mario Brothers used probably the best one, and especially in terms of level design. But like, if you look at them, it's hard to distinguish them from each other,
Yeah.
just because they're all very much the same. Which I think is why they're kind of like, all right, we're gonna take a break with that series for a while. Especially now we got Mario Maker and Mario Maker 2 and all that
Mm.
stuff. Um, but with I mean, I didn't play Donkey Kong Country Returns, um, but I feel like having something that's like tried and true, but also adding new mechanics. It doesn't have to be like revolutionarily new, but just like sprinkling little bits of new stuff that here and there. Having Dixie and Cranky Kong as companions to help out, and they all offer like little unique play styles in addition to having Diddy Kong, and they'll offer a little sort of unique play styles, which is really cool, and I really liked. Plus, just the level design was just stunning. Like for a game that came out, 6-7 years ago now, I was still very impressed by just the lighting. Some of my favorite stages were the ones that was like a silhouette. It basically had you over like a color backdrop, and it was and the Kong would just be, so Donkey Kong would just, his red tie was the only thing that was color, and the rest of him was a silhouette. It was just so cool. I loved every one of those stages. I love the new music was really great. The throwback music was really great. You have Sticker Brush Symphony and what's the one from the first game? I can't remember. Aquatic Ambience. Mm-hmm. So you have like tributes to those in the game. Those are really sweet. David Wise with an amazing score. Yeah, I mean, it was just a great experience, pretty much from start to finish. I got a little frustrated on some of the bosses. Some of them kind of like overstayed their welcome a little bit, where it kind of felt like, okay, I felt like I should have beaten the boss like 7 hits ago. Like, why am I still fighting this guy? It was especially like that with the final boss, which I was getting pretty upset by the end. But overall, it was an experience that was really worth it. And I'm really glad that you challenged me to do that, because I'm very happy to have played it. I had a really great time. So
yeah, man, we need more Donkey Kong Country games. Where are they at?
Oh, totally, absolutely.
They did remasters of or Switch versions of Tropical Freeze, and they did a 3D version of Donkey Kong Country Returns. But
yeah,
heard nothing about a new one. We really need a new one.
Zach, have you played? Oh, go ahead, Alec.
I was gonna say, it would be kind of cool if they did something in the style of like Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze, but it was like using like that engine, but like a remaster of the first 3 games.
Yeah.
Like, wouldn't that be really cool? Like a trilogy? I think it would be like a Spyro remaster. Do you do that thing with Donkey Kong Country? I think that would be great.
Yeah.
But I think that would be really fun. But yeah, you were saying, Rusty.
Yeah, I was gonna ask Zach. Zach, you've played both Returns and Tropical Freeze, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which one would you say is better?
I really have to go back and play Returns because it's been so long, but my immediate reaction after playing Tropical Freeze was that Returns was better.
Okay, did you play Returns on the Wii or 3DS?
Wii.
Okay.
But, I mean, I kind of was interested in getting the 3DS version just to play it again.
Yeah.
I feel like it would transfer over pretty well to the 3DS, but Wii, I feel like that's...
you get to shake your 3DS.
Yeah. I feel like this is going to say the controller actually works really well for a platformer.
Okay, yeah.
Like, it's kind of understated, the fact that when you turn the Wii remote to the side, it actually works really well. And the fact that, the only motion control you have is to, roll, and that's just, a quick shake. It's not, excessive motion controls or anything. So,
I mean, it basically plays like a NES controller almost, the way it's when you turn it sideways. Yeah.
So I think that's, the perfect balance of using the Wii's little bit of motion controls, but not excessively. It actually works really well.
Yeah, cool.
But both are really good games for sure. So for me, I have Final Fantasy VII, and that's what I started off playing, and I made a good amount of progress. And I was really enjoying it. But what I did, there's this thing in the Amazing Race where you pick a detour. You have 2 different ways to go.
What a great... This is amazing.
And
this is a perfect...
What I did was I switched detours.
Always bring reality television into the podcast, Zach.
Yeah.
Well, we gotta. That's our Survivor's our shtick, man. We gotta talk about CBS reality shows.
So what sometimes people will do is they realize maybe this one's taking a little bit too long. I'm gonna switch detours halfway through. That's what I did. I was like, Metroid Prime is supposed to be quicker to get through, and I was looking at the time I had left, and I was like, I don't know. It seems like it would take longer to finish Final Fantasy VII than it would be to play through Metroid Prime. So I'll switch to Metroid Prime, and I'll get this done. And I mean, I went by howlongtobeat.com. I went by their average play time to decide.
15 hours probably.
Yeah, that's why it said 10 hours, and then it gave me a little surprise when it took a little too long. It took me at least 5, maybe 7 hours more than that. So. But it was getting really...
I'd say, it seems a little low for first playthrough for Metroid Prime, because there's a lot of backtracking in that game. going back because a lot of the areas have interconnectedness to each other, but there's like one particular area. I think Phendrana Drifts. The only way you can get to Phendrana Drifts is through Magmore Caverns. You have to go that route so many times in that game. So
that was killer, man. I was like, it was getting really desperate times. It was like the last 3 days. I was like, I need to hunker down and finish this thing. So, like the night before the last day, I was trying to just power through, and then I'm like, I know I'm getting towards the end, so I literally stayed up all night. Did not sleep. I did not sleep. I had work the next day. I did not sleep at all.
What?
That's some dedication right
there.
That is. Wow, man.
I was up till 6 a.m. playing that game, and then it was like,
what
all right, time to go to work. Time to go to work at 10 a.m. And then, but yeah, the deadline was that night. I knew when I got home, I would not have enough time to finish it. Like, even it was like the night before. Like, if I tried to go to sleep at like 2, 3 a.m., I was at the final boss, and I was like, I don't want to this end up being like a final boss I can't beat, and like I'll be stuck on and never finish it in time. So I was like, let me just power through it now, and ultimately worked out. But yeah, that game, the minor things that I would not like in the game usually got amplified because I was like, I need to get through this game, man. So there was at a point where I had a guide next to me, game facts, game FAQs, right up next to me, to like literally tell me where to go step by step to get through as quick as possible. Because I was like, damn, there's sometimes they're a little ambiguous about where to go, and I mean there's some cool. I really like the exploration of it, and I understand why there was backtracking. It was cool how they tied stuff together where like places you go in the very beginning you end up being able to go to do new things there after you get stuff later on. But I was like, damn, I was like looking at the guide and I was like, okay, you're gonna have to go all the way back to the opposite side of the world now.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Sounds like a Metroid game.
Yeah. There's like one particular thing in that's to me is like the only like kind of smudge on like a perfect A plus for that game, and it's one of those segments where it's like you're like in Phendrana Drifts, you have to go like all the way back to the Talon Overworld, and then you have to go all the way back to like Phendrana Drifts again. It's just like it's so long, it takes forever to do it.
Yeah.
I don't remember. I think it has to do with a grapple beam or something, but I don't remember exactly. But yeah, that's one of my favorite games of all time. It's like it hits all the boxes for me. I think it's a masterpiece, but it's not perfect. No game is really perfect.
That's the opposite of a masterpiece, then, right?
No,
a masterpiece is perfect.
Some masterpieces have flaws too.
Some masterpieces aren't as good as other masterpieces.
That's right.
All right.
It's true. It's true.
So I mean, the controls for me it took some getting used to, and I still don't.
Which version did you play?
I played the original version. Yeah.
GameCube.
Okay, GameCube.
Okay.
So it took some getting used to.
This is actually my preferred version, and it's a stupid, kind of a stupid reason. I mean, it's not stupid to me, but it's kind of like it's just sort of superficial. But one of the things that I really like about that they took out of the Wii version just because you have motion controls, so your arm cannon moves around and it's harder to do the effect. But when you're charging a beam, you're like there's a lot of like visual effects so like if you're charging up the plasma beam, you actually see the heat rising off and like the bubbling of the lava coming out of the gun a little bit. Mm-hmm. When you charge the ice beam, your whole cannon frosts over. It's like the cool little details like that. Or the wave beam, there's like electricity kind of coming up the arm cannon. Those details, like I eat those up, and they're not in the Wii version, and it makes me sad.
Oh, okay.
Even though the Wii version's got superior controls.
Yeah, I was gonna say the controls were a little rough for me, and I found like even after I got used to them, I was still making like mistakes with these controls later on. Like I was mixing up buttons, especially when they start adding all these different. You have to memorize how to switch between the different things and everything. And all these new powers. But I mean, ultimately I still enjoyed it. I think there's cool stuff. It's definitely not a typical first person shooter style game, you know. I'd be interested to play the second one for sure. and it's one of those games where I don't know if would have gotten around to it. And as someone who really loves the GameCube, I definitely wanted to get to it. So I'm glad I got to play it at least. So that's Final Fantasy VII. I still would like to finish because it's really good.
How far did you get in that?
I forget exactly. I think it was around 10 to 15 hours.
Okay. Had you gotten to? Well, I don't want to spoil it, obviously, because that game. Everybody knows so much stuff about that game already. But when I played it the first time, I played it in college. It was only like 5 years ago or something, and there was stuff in that game I was shocked I hadn't been spoiled about. Like there's some twists that I didn't know about that like blew my mind. I was like, how did I not have this spoiled? And like near the end of the game, and I was just like just overwhelmed by how good the story is. But
yeah, I don't know everything for sure. I know there's a lot of stuff I don't know.
Yeah.
So Rusty, tell us about your experience. Give us a different perspective.
It was kind of rough to hear parts because I've heard about parts of it, and I was like, oh no, that's too bad.
Yeah, so historically with the Gent Challenge, I haven't been overly successful. For the listeners that don't know, I think the only game that I was successful with was Tales of Vesperia. That might be the only game that I ever completed during the Gent Challenge, but that's okay. Well, I think the second game that I'll ever, I guess, Vesperia Definitive Edition will probably not be during a Gent Challenge, but that's a different discussion for a different day. So I was tasked with Metal Gear Solid on the PS1. I played it on the Legacy Collection. I have it right here, just in case people think that I didn't play. I did. I downloaded the copy. I played it. And also Mario & Luigi, Superstar Saga, plus Bowser's Minions. So Metal Gear Solid was the first game that I played as part of this challenge. And I've never played it before, but I'm also a huge fan of stealth games. So Dishonored, I'm a huge fan of those games. The old Splinter Cell games, even like the Hitman games and Wolfenstein games that aren't necessarily stealth games to begin with, especially the Wolfenstein games. They allow for stealth-based playthroughs, and that's what I always kind of focus my way of playing those types of games. And so Metal Gear Solid on the outset seemed like the perfect game for me, and it's a series that I don't know why I never got into it. I played Metal Gear Solid 2, Sons of Liberty on the PS2 years ago, and it never clicked with me. I played it for 3 to 4 hours, maybe 2 hours, and it just, something about it didn't click. And so I wanted to give this series its fair shot because I've seen the Phantom Pain and what's the fifth game called? Phantom Pain's kind of leads into that, right?
There's the
Ground Zeroes.
Yeah, Ground Zeroes and the Phantom Pain.
Then Phantom Pain. So seeing footage of those games was unbelievable when it was first released. So I really wanted to work my way into that because I know the story to Metal Gear Solid is as convoluted, if not more, than Kingdom Hearts. And I didn't really want to necessarily play it for the story. I wanted to just play it for the gameplay. So I finally booted up. Long story short here, I know I'm getting to my point, I promise. Finally booted up Metal Gear Solid, and starting it up, I loved it. Gameplay, you could tell certainly the game has aged and shows its age. But from the voice acting was spectacular. David Hayter, who plays Solid Snake, of course I've heard his interviews and I've seen clips of the game, but I haven't had a controller in my hands controlling this character and hearing his voice in these cutscenes. And it was really pretty amazing to experience that for the first time, especially, this game came out, 21 years ago, and I still to this day had never played it. It was cool to have that moment with this character. And just the gameplay of kind of controlling the character, it's a little clunky, kind of walking around these maps in this, not necessarily bird's eye view, but what's the other one that's between bird's eye and...
It's almost isometric.
It's kind of isometric, but not necessarily.
It's like a 3/4 perspective.
It's different, but you get used to it. And so I started this game up one night, and I played, I don't know, an hour and a half, 2 hours. I ended up getting to this part when you infiltrate this armory, and you end up fighting Revolver Ocelot. And I defeated him, and it was great. And I really had a great time getting up to that point. The cutscenes were great. Now, I kind of played it these first 2 hours listening, but not actively listening. I do this with my wife a lot, and I get nailed for it later on. And so I thought I'd saved, but I definitely didn't. So the next night I booted it up, I recognized that when you play it on a PS3, you actually have to go and create like this PS1 save file thing. And then not only that, in Metal Gear Solid, there isn't just a save button. You have to go use this codec thing and go to a certain channel and call this person up, and that's how you save your game. So I completely missed that the first time. So I was like, okay, not a big deal. I can replay and get back up to that part. So I did that. And when I did, I got to this part where you're escaping the building after you've beaten Revolver Ocelot, and you get to this area where there's these lasers that you can't physically visibly see. You actually have to use some type of device to reveal them, so as they're moving, you can sneak under them. Well, I had smoke grenades on me. I didn't realize until after the fact that you can also use those. But in the beginning, when you're going through this level, before you get to Ocelot, there's an item that you can pick up that helps you detect those. I think it's like some kind of goggles. Yeah. And I didn't pick those up, and then once you come back to that area, that door's closed. So I was like, crap, I didn't know about the smoke grenades at that point. So I'm like, I have to restart this game entirely for a second time. And so at that point, I was livid. I was like, forget it. I'm done with this. I was going to Alaska with my family for a vacation, a cruise, the next week. So I was like, you know what? I'll come back from that. I'll still have a month to play this game. I'll just, new set of eyes, play this game through. Shouldn't be an issue. So long story short, I never came back to Metal Gear Solid.
Great. That's a great story.
Yeah. But that is quite a story. Actually, another thing, I think if memory serves, another thing you can actually do, smoking. If you take the cigs out of your inventory, the cigarettes, you can smoke, and that does the same thing.
Okay, well that's
it deteriorates your health if memory serves, but you can do that to detect the lasers too. I think if memory serves.
Okay, that's good. That's good to know. After the fact, playing for 4 hours, that is completely worthless. But all of that to say, I really did enjoy my time with it. I see a game that came out 21 years ago. I mean, if I played that, if I was like 10 years old, played that game back in '98, I would have lost my mind, and I'm sure that I would have played each subsequent entry with great anticipation, waiting for the next. But 21 years later, not having the patience that I probably did at 10-year-old me. Just didn't have – I couldn't do it. I had to put it down and shelve it. And I do want to come back to it because I got the Legacy Collection. So that includes, of course, Metal Gear Solid 1, I think 2, 3, 4 Guns of Patriots. And then I bought the definitive version for 5. So that has Ground Zeroes and Phantom Pain. So I want to eventually sit down and kind of play through that series beginning to end because the timeline's completely whacked. I think the first one takes place – after like 2 or 3, and then Guns of Patriots takes place. So it's kind of wacky, but I do want to.
3 and Peace Walker take place during like Vietnam.
Okay.
And then 5 is in between those and 1.
Gotcha.
Basically.
Okay. So I do want to get back to the series for sure, but you know what I should. You know what I did do though? I played. Let's see. Because I wrote this down because I didn't complete the 2 games that I was tasked with beating, but I beat 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I beat 7 other games during the Gent challenge.
Wow.
So
what? That's awesome.
And one of them was actually on the listing of games that I proposed to Mr. Kingdom Hearts man or whatever his username is. I'm so sorry.
Kingdom Hearts boy.
Yeah.
HB.
Not a man yet.
Kirby's Extra Epic Yarn, which of course was the remake or port of the Wii game to 3DS. I beat that game while we were on the cruise. When we came back from the cruise, I beat Batman Arkham Asylum, The Return to Arkham on PS4. Marvel's Spider-Man on PS4, I beat that. Sly Cooper and the Thievius Raccoonus, I recently beat on Vita. I got the Platinum Trophy. Of course, that's like my second or third playthrough of that game. Spyro Remastered, I beat Spyro 1 again. Battlefield 4 and Modern Warfare Remastered, because I was kind of on an FPS kick for a while there. So even though I didn't beat the 2 games I was tasked with beating, Rusty beat 7.
All right,
so
Rusty, that's all well and good, but I mean that makes it even worse for me. You had such potential to finish games in general that you couldn't beat these 2 that you were given.
Oh
Yes.
man, such a rascal.
Yeah.
He is a
So,
rascal.
I am. I'm the definitive. Yeah, I'm the definition of a rascal. So the next game I was tasked with was
Man.
Mario and Luigi Superstar Saga plus Bowser's Minions. Kind of a mouthful of a title. And of course, this is the remake of the Game Boy Advance game. And so I really enjoyed like the original version of this game on the GBA. I played it back in 6th grade with one of my buddies, Trevor. I remember him coming over to my house like vividly. I remember being in my basement and going onto, as Zach mentioned earlier, GameFAQs, Game FAQs, and reading walkthroughs as he and I were playing through this game together on my Game Boy Advance. And I never remember getting very far in the game, but as I was playing it this time, I'd get to another boss or another area, and I would just be overwhelmed with nostalgia because of the music or the boss battle or just a particular conversation between like Mario and Luigi and some of the side characters. So I made it relatively far. I think I definitely made it the furthest this playthrough, but a couple of things that frustrated me though with the 3DS version. I mean, graphically, I think it looks better. It's been so long. I mean, 6th grade. How old are you in 6th grade? I don't even know. Like 10, 11, 12? I mean, it's been a while since I've played the original, so it's tough to compare graphically. It definitely looks better. The thing that frustrates me with the 3DS, though, I feel like Nintendo's gotten kind of lazy because they got to a point where they just stopped using 3D mechanics in their 3DS games. And to be fair, I think the only 2 games I ever used a 3D mechanic heavily was Kingdom Hearts Dream Drop Distance and Super Mario 3D Land, because I thought the 3D was actually well realized and it added to the experience quite a bit. All of that to say, I really enjoyed my time with Superstar Saga again. I mean, I went on an Alaskan cruise with my family, and door to door, so from where I live, we were on 3 planes to get to Anchorage. It was a 16-hour experience, getting on 3 planes, going through 3 airports. It was rough. But I still got through 6.5, 7 hours of Superstar Saga during that trip, to the point where my 3DS was literally dying by the end of it. And I enjoyed my time again, overwhelmed with nostalgia. I ended up, over the trip, getting through about 12 hours of Superstar Saga. And it got to a point where, in the story, that you beat a boss and you think, oh wow, this is a fitting end for the game. Let's let the credits roll. But no. Instead, there's this little bean star that gets split up in 4 pieces and magically goes on the 4 distinct different regions of the map that you have to now go on this fetch quest and get on all 4 pieces of this little bean star. And it just seems so excessive and unnecessary, and I feel like I've only played Superstar Saga, a little bit of Partners in Time, and quite a bit of Dream Team. And those are all Mario and Luigi RPG games, both on the DS and 3DS. And my biggest complaint with these games is I just feel like there's so much fluff and there's just more quantity over quality. And you see it in Superstar Saga because, first off, you just Mario and Luigi, you have these different mechanics in the turn-based battles where you can jump on Luigi's head and do these dual attacks that are really fun and add a lot of it's just very interactive in terms of the different button presses during gameplay, and it makes for a good time. But then eventually you add in hammers, and then you get super hammers, and it just keeps going and building, and I think unnecessarily so. I mean, Dream Team was the worst of it. I got the special edition Dream Team 3DS back in the day, and it came with a downloadable copy of Dream Team. And having not heard of much about it at the time, I was like, oh, this is going to be great fun. I love Superstar Saga. I must have put 25 hours into that game, and same with Superstar Saga, thinking that it's going to end, and then all of a sudden there's this plot twist. And I looked up online, I'm like, oh, no, Rusty, you're 25 hours in. This game is at least 50 hours to beat. And I'm just thinking why?
Yeah, I've heard that one in particular. I kind of disagree with you on Superstar Saga. Superstar Saga is only like a 20-hour RPG, which is not really that long when it comes to RPGs. I kind of understand what you're saying because there is that point where you think you've done basically everything, and then that star thing happens. But I don't know, maybe it's just nostalgia talking. But I never have felt in that game. I played through that game 2 or 3 times.
Mm-hmm.
I've never really felt that game was overly padded. Partners in Time actually less so. That game is over before you can blink. That game,
really?
it's like a 15-hour game. Yeah, it's not very long at all. If you're looking for a shorter Mario and Luigi game, I'd go for that one. It's actually a really good game. I was actually disappointed. I remember being disappointed in that one because I was like, it's. I feel like there's more to be done, and it's like over before I know it. But I feel like if I went back to it now, I'd appreciate that more.
Yeah.
Bowser's Inside Story is about this. I would say the same length as Superstar Saga.
Okay.
I would say that's probably the best one in the series. Too, just the humor, getting to play as Bowser.
Yeah, I've heard great things about that game.
It's very funny.
Yeah.
But Dream Team, yeah, I've heard is just like people just say it's just way too long.
It's way over the top.
It outlives its welcome.
And so here's also the problem, and I'm really kicking myself for doing this. So because I was on planes for 15 hours, 16 hours, I literally had nothing to do but listen to music. My phone was dying, or play my 3DS. And this is first world problems to the nth degree. I know, I'm sorry. I'm complaining about this. But I played the game. If you play any game for 8 hours straight, you kind of grow tired of it because it's just 8 hours in your face. And I think I just grew distasteful of the game because of that 8-hour experience. You know, those first 3 to 4 hours, it's like, okay, just nostalgia for days. Oh, I remember being in my basement playing this game with my buddy. But then it got to a point where it's just like, I literally can't look at this game anymore because I've been playing for 8 hours. I'm crunched up in the middle seat on a plane. I hate everything about my life right now. And I think I got too much of that, and that was a reflection of the experience, and it shouldn't have been. And so I should have come back from Alaska being refreshed and sunk my teeth back into the last 6 to 8 hours of this game, and I didn't, and I'm a rascal because of it.
Damn.
I'm sorry. I need to just be better, people.
I will be better next time.
I will do better next time.
Statement.
I'm sorry.
Yeah. But I mean, Superstar Saga, for those that haven't played it, I mean, talk about memorable characters. I mean, you have Prince Peasley, Fawful as this kind of like dual antagonist to the main antagonist. Mario and Luigi, their bickering back and forth is absolutely hysterical. I mean, the writing in this game is so genius and so humorous that if you're used to these 2D and 3D Mario games, you play this RPG, and again, I haven't played Super Mario RPG on the Super Nintendo, so I don't know if that game has clever and imaginative and funny writing, but this game, for a GBA game, is so worth playing, and the writing is just perfect.
What about Paper Mario? You played this?
I have not. No.
There you go.
That's
none of
sensing.
that.
Man.
GameCube.
Well, that's the peak of clever writing from
Is it?
Nintendo.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's good to hear.
Well, that's debatable. I mean,
Well,
I love both. I love both series, and
I
actually,
think it's definitely better than Mario and Luigi in my eyes.
an interesting thing about the staffs of both of those games is that people that worked on Mario RPG, like
Mario and Luigi.
there's people that worked on. On both teams, on Paper Mario team and on the Mario and Luigi team. There's people from both that worked on both. Because Yoko Shimomura does the music for Mario and Luigi. I think there's like some people that were behind some of the gameplay systems that work for Dream something. I don't remember the name of the company that does the Mario and Luigi games. Yeah, then people in intelligent systems that were X Square people as well. So,
quick question, Alec. Do you know who composes the soundtrack to Dark Cloud? If you don't, it's not a big deal. I only ask because, and you guys need to do this after the recording, Teehee Valley, the song that plays there sounds nearly identical. I mean, a striking resemblance to the song Departure in Dark Cloud. I mean, I was literally on the plane playing, and I get to this area, and I had my headphones in listening to the game, and I started like freaking out. Like I was like punching my brother-in-law, like, dude, this is like Dark Cloud. He's never even played Dark Cloud. He doesn't care.
Yeah.
But I was freaking out. I was like having this fanboy moment because spending so much time playing Dark Cloud myself last summer, and then also Pete's speed runs of the game, it was like ingrained in my mind. And so when this song came on, it was like, where? Oh, this is Dark Cloud. Like it sounded so familiar. So definitely the Teehee Valley, the song listen to the 3DS version, and then right after that, listen to Departure, a song from Dark Cloud 1 on the PS2. they sound so familiar. It's crazy.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember who it is. I don't know. It's a Namco person, I think, that works on it, but I don't remember.
I'm checking this out.
To be perfect.
Right.
To be perfect. Yeah, look it up.
By the way,
we get a nice shot.
nice dramatic shot.
We got the fingers.
Oh, did you see my fingers? Oh, yeah. So
Yeah.
here's the interesting thing with this recording. I got a new laptop, and my webcam is down the bottom right-hand corner of my screen, when usually it's at the top of your screen. So it's kind of awkward with I'm probably like looking off in the distance during this recording. So I apologize for people that are viewing this on YouTube.
You feel
but
disrespected.
yeah, I'm so sorry.
He's not looking at me.
Yeah.
Why won't you look at me during?
Oh. Yeah, that's
All right, by the way, Metroid Prime music, Magmore Caverns is the best.
Oh, well, yeah. I mean, that's from Super Metroid, so of course it's good.
So
It's
good.
Phendrana Drifts, and Phendrana. Both the tracks that play there are like my favorites in the game. I love everything that happens at Phendrana. It's such a great location.
Very good. Very atmospheric.
Mm. Mm-hmm. Do we look up who was that did Dark Cloud?
I did. Sorry, I didn't want to interrupt you guys. Yeah, it's Tomohito Nishura. Nishura?
No, never heard.
Yeah.
Never heard of him.
That's my favorite.
It looks like he composed both of the Dark Cloud soundtracks, and he did. Oh wow, he developed the Professor Layton games too.
Oh, I love those games. Those have great music.
And Rogue Galaxy as well on the PS2. Interesting.
Oh, okay. So, the level 5 games then.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
Good
I'll
stuff.
have to give that a listen then, for sure.
Okay, well, I will say, in conclusion, we were a part of a historic Gents Challenge in which this has to be the most successful Gents Challenge in history, I imagine, because we had 14 people participating. 12 of those people were Gents. And in 3 of those 12 were Supreme Gents. So we're all part of history here, one side or the other, you know.
That is pretty amazing. Like, I was actually surprised looking through the thread just how many people were like really sitting down and dedicating themselves to the game. It's the summer, I guess. People are.
Yeah,
I don't
know
not
why
as
though,
busy.
because we've had several. This is our 5th Gents Challenge, I think, on the Discord at this point, and none of them even come close to this. Like having 14 people and like so many of them getting through it. It's like usually people just don't have the motivation. I don't know, but
yeah.
The thing with the Gent Challenge, the new thing now is when you get the Gent status, you have the option to come up with a theme for the next one, and then there will be a poll for all the different options going into the next Gent Challenge. So this time, if everyone puts an entry in, there'll be like 14 different options. So, but that will be another time. We actually just sign-ups are going on right now for the Scholars Challenge, the first ever Scholars Challenge, which is a Gent Challenge but with books.
Yeah.
So
I'll have to put my name in. There's definitely books I need to read. So
same.
This is like the first off-season Gent Challenge, what I like to call it. So we'll probably have something always going on. Like there will be a Gent Challenge every 2 months, and then between that we'll always have one off-season one, which could be like next time it could be something like a movie Gent Challenge. We might try that one out. We'll see how this one goes. But they're short. It's a month deadline instead of 2. So there's that.
Is it only one book or 2 books?
1 book.
Okay.
So it's a nice little bite-sized challenge. But so that's gonna be it. That's how it turned out. 2 Gents, 1 Rascal.
Yeah. So I did start playing Persona 5 also. I didn't really talk about that too much. I probably like 35 hours in.
Damn.
There was one day where I did literally sit down and play like 6.5 hours.
Nice.
And this is not a game I'm getting tired of at all. It's
Nice.
so good. It's so up my alley. I friends, including a friend that doesn't like this style of game very much, have been hounding me to play this game since it came out, basically. My cousin played this game, which I was surprised. He's more a lot of times more into some more realistic stuff. Like Uncharted 4 is one of his favorite games ever.
He's a casual.
He's super into that.
Those
No,
guys.
he's not really a casual, I wouldn't say. He plays a pretty good variety.
Yeah.
You're a casual if you don't play Mario or Pokemon.
You're casual if you don't play Elebits on the Wii.
Mm-hmm. You're casual if you don't
or,
finish Kingdom Hearts 1.
Or
Okay.
Apuna on the Wii. Anyway, that was an old Gent thread. That was an old forum thread thing. Anyway, yeah, I'm adoring this game. The music, one of the best soundtracks probably I've ever heard. And that's saying a lot for somebody who loves game music.
Yeah.
The battle theme literally never gets old. It's amazing because of how often you hear it, but it never ever gets old. And yeah, just a huge credit to Atlas, man. They know how to make an RPG. They know how to spin one pretty well. So.
And Joker just won Evo 2019 Super Smash Bros. Ultimate.
That was
so
insane. Good. I tuned into that grand finals, man. My heart was pumping. I don't even really follow competitive Smash, and my blood was pumping on that one.
That's the only game I follow competitively is Ultimate and Melee, and I watched all the top 8 for that. It was great. Grand finals was great. MK Leo, champion. All right, that's it.
All right.
Thank you so much. We talked about strictly only the Gens Challenge in this video. And
that's right.
That's gonna be it. Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.
See ya.
God.
I did a double.